I'm Jake.
I'm Tom.
And we are VIMTV, Velocities in Music. Today, for you, we are going to review the new album from Cloud Nothings, Attack on Memory. Attack on Memory is their third album because Cloud Nothings in late 2010 came out with a quasi-album EP thing, and then in 2011, January 2011, they came out with their second album, and now their third album, Attack on Memory, in January 2012. So these guys are prolific already, and they've only been around for a little more than a year, which I think is fantastic. I think it's really refreshing anytime you have an artist who's so motivated and pumped up about making music that they can just pump out a bunch of material. Now, it's kind of a catch-22 because while you love that, typically what you have is shorter albums and you know, less developed work. And with the style that Cloud Nothings is in, you know, this not post-punk, but, you know, past what punk is, has a lot of punk influences, but it's a lot of just indie and indie experimental punk rock is what I would call it.
A lot of it sounds like Built to Spill or Modest Mouse to me, with like a hardcore punk edge to it.
Right, but in like the next derivation, like it's very futuristic in its sound. Tom, what was your take on Attack on Memory's just overall sound and flow through the album?
Well, this album took me quite a bit to wrap my head around. It took me more listens than usual, despite it being a short album. Just because I was so thrown off on first listen, because the first two tracks, No Future, No Past, and Wasted Days, they're longer tracks, well, especially Wasted Days, track 2, almost 9 minutes long.
Very experimental.
I mean, that right there is almost a third of the album. And it just goes everywhere. It's just very explosive and building tracks. And then from there, the last 6 tracks are a lot more straightforward, with that kind of punk sound, a little more upbeat, a little even poppier. I would never call this pop, but as far as the vocal hooks.
But still definitely a different structure.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have these meandering, you know, bridge sections that go on for 3 minutes. You just have verse, chorus, maybe a bridge, and then, you know, done.
But I was thrown off by that. It took me a few listens more to really understand what they were doing in structuring this album. But really, I think the thing that grabs me the most about it is just the energy. In the vocals and the guitars, and actually I think the marriage of the two and their attitude is really what makes this album work, is that those are able to come together. The vocalist at times sounds, I mean, he's just
he's desperate.
Yeah,
he's desperate sounding.
He's screaming, and his screams are not like metal screams. They're very much just kind of like picture Isaac Brock yelling his head off.
And in the opener, No Future, No Past, when he's just screaming No Future, No Past at the very end of that track, like it grabs you.
It's not pretty, but that's exactly what they're going for. Is that kind of grating, abrasive sound.
And that's exactly what I want to hear. It makes the music so authentic. It makes it believable.
So that really is what ties it together for me, as far as the sound and the style, and I think that was the highlight for me. Now when it comes to the songwriting, I thought those first 2 tracks and their experimental nature were really strong, and then the rest was good, but just kind of left me wanting more experimentation. Right.
Yeah. One of the things that I noticed immediately was just the a huge amount of just crazy guitar work. In most of these tracks, you have 2 guitars just doing a lot of very interesting riffing at the same time. You'll have one that's playing more of a rhythm and one that's playing more of a lead role, but the way it was produced, it's produced in such a lo-fi manner that it all kind of washes together, and that makes it really fun for me to dig apart and listen to the individual tracks, and I found that to be really fun. As the album, what Tom and I, right before we turned on the camera, we're speaking about how, while I really like a lot of the songs on this album, as an album, it doesn't really feel cohesive. It doesn't feel like an album. Part of that's because it's only 34 minutes long. The other part is that these songs are in no way, they don't play off each other. It doesn't flow very well. I feel like it's just a collection of 8 Cloud Nothings track. And I like the tracks, and I really like where it's going, but I would have loved to have seen more ambition, more of an approach that puts this into a free-flowing form. Ice Age's latest album really did a good job of that, and I think that's why that album got so much good press last year, where Attack on Memory doesn't necessarily do that. Now this album is getting a lot of good press, and I think, you know, the level of the songwriting deserves that. Now personally, you guys have to know this by now if you're a regular VIMTV viewer, we're looking at albums. We're looking at how the album works together. So while we may love all of the tracks, if it doesn't work together as an album, we lower the score because of it. That's what we're looking for, an album listen. We're not grading 8 tracks, we're grading an album. So to me, that did lower the score for me. Now, I will say I like this more and more every time I listen to it. And that's something that I really love anytime I find an album that can do that. I find that those are the most rewarding listens. Right now, Tom, I don't know. I'm ready to score this thing. I'm sitting at a mid-70s, 74.
I'm going 72.
And I think over time, I think we'd see that go up. But we'll never get over the fact that there's just those first 2 tracks. It's so top-heavy. The first 2 tracks are just where I'm at with that album. And then after that, it just kind of goes downhill for me. What do you guys think? Let us know at www.velocitiesandmusic.com or youtube.com/velocitiesandmusic. Follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and shoot us a tweet or a Facebook message about what you thought of Attack on Memory, because a lot of people out there are really loving this album, and while we think it deserves the attention, I'm not so sure that you can really call it a complete album. So leave us a comment. I'm Jake.
I'm Tom.
And we are VIMTV, moving music critique forward.